Jackie Wilson, your love keeps lifting me higher and higher on Radio London. Time now is 3:18. It's Shay here with you until 6 p.m. Now, as you know, I'm always really keen in the afternoons to talk about the individuals, the communities that really celebrate our amazing city. Over in Hackney Wick, extensive regeneration has been underway, of course, since the London 2012 Olympics. And I think it's fair to say the area's cultural programme is thriving. Well, two locals are definitely doing their bit to champion this very community. I'm joined in the studio with co-founders Will Chamberlain and Tom Kihl. They're the editors of the Wick newspaper. So it's a collaborative platform. You've got residents, creatives, organisations and communities that can really showcase and communicate their work. It's lovely to have you both in, Will and Tom. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
So how much do we love Hackney Wick then?
It's pretty cool.
Why? Why is it pretty cool?
It's very unique in London. It's got a lot of space. It's got canals. It's got parklands, but it's also got one of the biggest creative clusters in Europe, possibly even the world.
Wow.
Before the Olympic Games, there was a survey that was conducted that found that it had the highest concentration of artists and creative practitioners.
Amazing.
And we've been working together collaboratively really ever since to try and make sure that it stays that way.
Do you think it's changed, though? I mean, there's been a lot of regeneration, hasn't there, over the past 2 decades?
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's very much part of the project, is that the change is unbelievable since the Olympics. The number of flats that are going up, even in the last 6 months.
Skyline's changed, right?
It's just phenomenal. And so the launch of the newspaper was really in response to that, to see, to keep an eye on things and to be pro creativity, even though there's a lot of commerce going on as well.
I guess it's a hard one to juggle, but that particular point you make, both of you, Will and Tom, it kind of is relevant to many different parts of London when we talk about change. That's inevitable in a city like London. A lot of news and media, though, is leaning towards this digital first approach. We were just kind of talking about this off air, but you do still very much have a physical paper. Why is it important for you, Will, to retain print media, would you say?
Well, Hackney Wick has an amazing heritage for the print industry. It used to be the centre of the UK's printing industry in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
And it was when that declined that the artists started moving in and colonising the warehouses and factories
Nice.
where that printing used to be. The Wick newspaper actually first started in 2011. And it came out for 3 years as an annual, and it was principally to support the Hackney Wicked Art Festival, which was an explosion of creativity, really in response to the arrival of the Olympic Games and the transformation of this part of East London. So when the funding ran out for the original Wick newspaper that was founded by a guy called Darren Ellis, we then spent the next 5 or 6 years working out how we could bring a print version back as a local communication tool in a digital age, because hyperlocal print is a great way of communicating to a local audience. And so I met Tom in 2019, and we launched the Wick newspaper together at the rebirth in COVID.
During COVID, blimey. But, clearly it's, for both of you especially, really important. But what about readers, Tom? What are they saying? Do they still value I don't know, just reading, in that paper physical form, I guess.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, I think people really appreciate time away from their devices.
Yeah.
And particularly young people, when we started out, it was all, this is for the older generation who, they like a
for us oldies.
Paper. Yeah, but actually the fascinating thing is that the younger readers really celebrate the fact that we're a tangible product and not in a sort of a moment of scrolling. So there's something about that's why we've stuck with physical, I think, and particularly as when you're talking about a local area and you can stack up copies in local bars and restaurants and doctors' surgeries. It's really good. It's a signpost, and it's also, in a sort of AI era, it's a sign of truth. I think we found that if you know the people who've written the words and you can bump into them in the local bar or something, it's a really good way of verifying that what we say isn't just more AI slop.
It's a really important point you make, actually. I'm old enough to remember Yellow Pages. Do you remember that? I used to, with my mum, rip out particular, companies or something that I needed, and I'd keep it in my bag. I'd kind of refer back to it. referring to newspapers. I've always been that person who would love to have newspaper clippings. I remember when I graduated from university, I was featured in the Hounslow Chronicle, and my aunt had the newspaper clipping on her fridge. You can see where I'm going with this. There's so much more to having print media than we realise. I still have the copy of the coronation of Her Majesty the Queen. You know, these kind of points are really relevant in a society. As you say, there's a lot of AI slop out there. With regards to the Wick, Will, what are some of the challenges then that you'd say you're facing as a paper?
I think challenges with print media in general are that advertisers have moved away and are more online. I think what we offer is an opportunity to showcase with longevity. As you say, the copies get kept in piles and they stick around. It's interesting to walk around Hackney Wick, and we do lots of profiles of local creative businesses and organisations and cultural institutions and what have you. And people generally have the copy of the page that they were on pinned to the wall so it's always nice to see that.
Yeah, I think people put value on print, don't they? Even though it's devalued in the sense that the advertisers are not that keen on it anymore. It's still got the premium value for anyone who's in it to say that I've been in print rather than just on a screen. I think, on a screen you're against everything else in the whole world, aren't you? Whereas in print it's just a moment of somebody's attention. So
Absolutely.
It has value for that.
And long may that continue. I know that sounds really biased, but I really am a fan of, print media. I think you're totally right. Summer in London, of course, is a really special time of the year. Talk to us a little bit, Tom, kind of around what events you're looking forward to in Hackney Wick this summer then.
Yeah, I mean, as Will says, it's a unique community. It remains a unique community despite the relentless pace of change. And some of the events that go on unite the community. There's quite a lot of nightlife events that take place across maybe 15 venues. So There'll be a couple of events coming up this summer, if not more, that are neighbourhood events. You get a wristband and you can just dip into bars, you can dip into nightclubs. And they run, throughout the day and night. So that sort of thing, I think, really showcases what makes the area, continues to make it unique.
Yeah.
And then alongside that, we are, in our next issue, actually, I'm writing a story about the area being almost a test bed for the Mayor's Nightlife Commission and the work that they have done on keeping grassroots venues supported. I mean, there are hundreds of new flats arriving right next door to existing nightlife venues at the moment. So it is a real petri dish of what should hopefully mean that the venues don't get noise complaints and are not evicted. So watch this space. But this summer will be the first summer with a lot of those residents in situ. So is
that a concern from locals that you're hearing actually?
I mean, uncertainty is the concern for everyone, from the artists in their studios through to nightclubs and restaurants. There's a lot of meanwhile use. A lot of the venues are living on sort of borrowed time, and yet because they've built something strong, it does. They do get more years. So it has become something that hopefully will be recognised for what it gives London. I mean, it's now a destination, particularly at night.
It's quite interesting that, isn't it, Will? Because we have, as Tom's kind of highlighting, just across London, we've lost so many amazing cultural venues, live music venues. And it's about how do you find that balance to ensure residents are happy where they're living, but also locals get to enjoy some of this. Let's talk as well a little bit about the fact that the important aspect for the Wick is that collaboration. So if people in Hackney Wick want to get involved with the paper or, kind of other community initiatives, what do they do? Is it as simple as sending an email?
It can be as simple as sending an email, absolutely. We've got all the email addresses in the paper. We invite people to attend a monthly meeting. We have a monthly creative business networking meeting.
So you're actually meeting people face to face as well?
We are.
Fantastic.
The beauty of local.
Yes. How does that work? How do they work, those kind of networking events?
Well, that meeting's been going for 16 years. It's going to be the 16th anniversary in May of what we call the Cultural Interest Group. And it's been this amazing organisation that just brings people from different sectors together over long periods of time.
Yeah.
And particularly when you have that uncertainty that Tom was talking about, and the threat of gentrification, of displacement of the existing community, and particularly the grassroots creative sector, it's been a really important opportunity for people to get to know each other over time and find out actually what they have in common and how they can
support each
collaborate
other
and how they can work together, rather than have that animosity that often comes without people knowing really what each other stand for.
I'm intrigued by the point you make, though, Will, kind of that the term you just said, there's a threat of gentrification. Some of our listeners will be thinking, no, it's gentrified. There's no threat. It's happened.
Yeah.
What would you say as somebody who's kind of obviously been there and has seen the change?
I mean, it's true. It's changed. I think you can look at gentrification. There are some positive aspects to gentrification. New schools, new roads, new railway stations, all that sort of thing. And obviously negative gentrification, rent increases, land value increases, and what have you. We're trying to combat that.
How?
We've developed what we're calling the Hackney Wick model. We're encouraging community ownership of real estate assets so that we can actually decide price points and what happens in buildings, providing opportunities for grassroots organisations, community organisations to have a secure space to continue to do the great work that they do in community cohesion and community resilience. It's been fascinating how these conversations have been going with the development sector. I think more and more developers are openly...
Are they more conscious? I don't even know if you can use that word, or conscientious.
More and more developers talk about placemaking now than certainly when we started having this conversation 16 years ago. And placemaking, sustainable, creative-led placemaking and regeneration can really deliver fantastic things that retains the grassroots culture and creativity, as I said, and gives opportunities for people to stay if they want to. And of course, cities change, people move. There's that constant churn anyway.
Sure, but I guess for some people, when we talk about specifically the gentrification in Hackney Wick and Hackney as a whole, they haven't had a choice.
Haven't had a choice.
Let me bring you in on this. What's your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, I think as Will said, cities do change. You don't want cities to stay static. And a lot of people I know who grew up in Hackney sort of 20, 30 years ago would say that Hackney isn't necessarily the most fantastic place, but it is home. And so although people feel change is problematic, in many ways it is great that things have developed. And I think what we try and do at the Wick is try and balance things out a bit, try and make sure that the development sector don't just completely run the whole thing on profit and units in the sky. And what's been interesting from those cultural interest group meetings is that there is a lot of alignment. Everybody wants the same thing, including actually the developers. They don't want to build things that are anodyne. They want community, and they want the neighbourhood to be thriving as well. It's just that they need maybe a little bit of the chance for engagement, which is kind of what this project does.
I guess what I'm referencing or referring to is those that have been there for 20, 30, 40 years want to also maintain and retain their family history, their cultural growth, as opposed to what you're referencing.
This is true, and unfortunately, some people would see us just by what we're doing as part of the problem. And we've been accused of being a gentrifying force because we're showcasing good things that are happening in the neighbourhood, which also are part of the problem. They're the reason that the prices are going up and that people won't be able to live locally. So I'm aware where we sit in the equation, and we can't solve many of those things, and I totally feel for people who are priced out of their house, because it's a nightmare for all Londoners. I mean, we're all part of that.
Yeah, I'm so glad you say that, because I guarantee there'll be, I don't know, a South Londoner, North Londoner or West Londoner who's thinking, no, this is happening in my neck of the woods too. And it is, you are absolutely right. Decades old conversation is that the pricing in London, but clearly alongside that, I mean, I'm just looking at your book just finally, The Wick, 15 years of culture, community and change. You clearly acknowledge that, and this book is fascinating. It's a limited edition. It says right here, right now, and it also does, we should commend what you're doing, highlight some of the amazing community initiatives that have been going on in the last 15 years. People can get this book, can't they? Put it on their bookshelves and buy it as well, Will.
They can, yes. It's at thewickbook.org, I think. .com. Or .com, sorry.
Yes.
Thewickbooks.com.
I've got it here. Yeah, thewickbook.com. And then people can find The Wick on the website. This is thewick.com, and also on social media as well.
That's right, yes. We posted only an hour ago. We were at the V&A East press launch, which is another big iconic thing to happen to the neighbourhood. So it's quite timely to be talking about this, because it's a moment that's a real moment. So I think from what we've talked about before, the fact that something like the V&A is landing in the Olympic Park, and the culture and creativity that's bringing. as long as locals don't feel that they're being bumped out, as long as they feel brought along for the ride with something as big as that, then I think we're all doing the best we can with the urban forces that are inevitably at play.
And inevitably, there'll be a whole range of future generations of school children who'll be able to enjoy this.
And they're enjoying it now. My son and daughter both go to school in the Olympic Park, and they have amazing opportunities. But I worked on the Olympic bid in 2004-05, and that was when we made the promise that the communities surrounding the Olympic Park would benefit from the Games. And I think our project has been trying to make sure that promise is kept, and that we've been slowing down the pace of change as much as possible. But I think ultimately gentrification is the dark spectre that looms over everything. I think the only solution to that is community ownership of real estate, so that they can then decide what happens themselves.
Pleasure having you both here, Tom and Will. Thank you for joining me today. And what a riveting conversation. Head to that website, thisisthewick.com, for more details. Apologies, Fiona. Let's get up down the roads, traffic and travel now.
Thanks very much, Shay. And taking a look at the roads, first of all in Hanworth, very